You know, when you hear the name Galileo, a certain image probably pops into your head, right? A man, a telescope, a big dramatic fight with the church. And yeah, that's all part of it. But it's kind of like looking at a bolt of lightning and completely ignoring the massive churning storm that produced it. The real story here, the amazing story, isn't just about what Galileo found. It's about the crazy, chaotic world that made his ideas not just possible, but something people were desperate for.
So, this is really the core question we're diving into. We love the lone genius story, this one hero who sees what nobody else can. But what if it's more interesting than that? What if Galileo was the absolute right person with the right ideas at the exact right, incredibly messy moment in history? And this quote from art historian Heinrich Wölfflin, man, it just nails it. The most brilliant idea in the world needs the right soil to grow. Before Galileo could change how the world saw the universe, the world itself had to be ready for that change. The whole environment had to be primed for revolution. Okay, so what did this world actually look like? Let's jump back to the late 1500s and early 1600s. This was not a calm, stable time. Not at all. It was an age of massive disruption, where the very foundations of how everyone understood reality were just cracking apart.
Now, check this out. It's not just one of these things, it's how they all slammed into each other. You've got the printing press, which means ideas are suddenly going viral, way beyond the control of the church or the king. You've got early capitalism creating this whole new class of people who care about results, not just what some ancient Greek philosopher wrote. Then you've got ships coming back from across the globe with plants, animals, and stories about people that just aren't in the old books. And on top of all that, the Reformation completely shatters the idea of a single, unified Christian Europe. It was a lot.
But all this change wasn't exciting for most people. It was terrifying. I mean, imagine everything you thought was true about God, about the world, about your place in it, suddenly being up for debate. People felt totally adrift. They were desperate for something new, something solid and reliable that can make sense of the chaos. And out of all this turmoil, a new kind of person starts to take center stage. The focus of everything begins to shift away from the group, the community, and toward the individual. This was a massive change in how people even thought about themselves.
This comparison just shows it so clearly. Learning used to be a public thing, right? A communal event. You'd go to church or a lecture hall and listen to an authority figure tell you how things are. But with books becoming more common, learning became private. It was just you alone with a book. The very act of knowing something became this personal, internal experience.
And this gave birth to this incredibly powerful new idea, what we can call the epistemic I. It's the belief that I, just one person, can be a legitimate source of knowledge, that my own brain, my own experiments, my own observations could actually establish what's true, no matter what some ancient authority or powerful institution had to say about it. So you've got this deep hunger for certainty, for a new system. This new individualistic age needed a brand new philosophy to make sense of its world, and boy did it get one. The answer was something called the mechanical philosophy, and its core idea was just revolutionary in its simplicity. The world isn't a bunch of unknowable divine mysteries. Nope, it's a machine. A huge, incredibly complex, but ultimately understandable machine. Kind of like a giant clock. And the logic that follows from that is just, it's irresistible, right? If the universe is a machine, then it has to follow rules. And if it follows rules, then any individual, that new epistemic I, could potentially figure those rules out. You don't need permission from Aristotle or the Pope anymore. All you need is your own eyes and your own mind. And this is the moment Galileo steps onto the stage. He doesn't just dabble in this new philosophy, he becomes its master mechanic. He's the one who takes these big ideas and turns them into a powerful, practical method for actually doing science. Now, to really get Galileo's genius, you have to understand this one key term, a model of intelligibility. It sounds complicated, but it's not. Think of it like a thinker's master key, their favorite analogy, the one tool they use to try and unlock every complex problem. So, what was Galileo's master key? It wasn't some abstract, high-minded concept. It was the balance, a scale, a simple physical machine that literally everyone in this new commercial age, from merchants to shipbuilders, understood inside and out. It was real, it was reliable, and you could see how it worked with your own two eyes.
And this is where his mind just takes off. It's incredible. He starts with a simple balance, right? A solved problem of equilibrium. Then he starts arguing that other simple machines, like levers and pendulums, are really just different versions of a balance. And then, this is the giant leap, he treats the entire physical universe as a massive balance problem. A falling stone, a planet in its orbit. To Galileo, it was all just a matter of forces seeking equilibrium. And he pursued all of this with that fierce, individualistic spirit of the epistemic eye. This quote from him just says it all. He believed that real thinkers were like eagles, soaring alone, not like starlings who just flock together chirping the same old tune. He was the ultimate individual knower. So when you get to Galileo's famous trial, you can see it wasn't just a simple argument about whether the Earth moves around the sun. It was the inevitable, head-on collision of two fundamentally different ways of knowing anything at all.
I mean, just look at this breakdown. The old world, truth came from authority, ancient books, the church. The goal was to understand why things happened, what God's purpose was. But for Galileo's new world, truth came from the individual, and the goal was to understand how things work, the nuts and bolts of it. They weren't just playing by different rules, they were playing completely different games on totally different fields. A conflict was basically guaranteed.
So, after all this, what do we make of Galileo? What's his true legacy? Why is he still such a monumental figure all these centuries later? In the end, I think Galileo's most profound gift wasn't any single discovery, not the moons of Jupiter, not the phases of Venus, as amazing as those were. It was the method. He gave us a powerful, repeatable toolkit that any individual could use to investigate the machine of the universe for themselves. He didn't just give us a few answers. He gave us a way to find our own answers. Galileo's model of the universe as a machine totally dominated science for the next 300 years. Which leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? What are our models today? What are the master keys we're using to understand the world? Do we see the universe as a computer, the brain as a neural network, society as a complex adaptive system? Thinking about the models that shape our own time, well, that's the first step to maybe, just maybe, seeing the world in a whole new way.